My brother kicked me out of his engagement party because his fiancée said I'd make her look bad in front of her family. Mom called me that morning, voice tight like she was delivering bad news about a dead pet. "Honey, about tonight. Marcus and Rachel talked, and they think it's better if you sit this one out." I was in my car, halfway to the venue with a $300 gift in my passenger seat. I pulled over. "What do you mean, sit it out?" "Rachel's family is very traditional. They're already nervous about Marcus not being established enough. Having you there with your situation, it might give the wrong impression." My situation. I'm 32, divorced 2 years ago, no kids. Apparently that makes me a walking red flag at family gatherings. "Mom, I'm his sister." "I know, sweetie, but Rachel's parents are old-fashioned. They might think divorce runs in the family or something. You know how people talk." She paused. "Marcus really wants to make a good impression. This is important to him." I didn't argue. I just said okay, turned my car around, and drove home. The gift sat on my counter for 3 days, still wrapped. I thought about all the times I'd covered Marcus's rent when he was between opportunities, the $4,000 I lent him for the engagement ring that he swore he'd pay back, the weekends I spent helping him repaint Rachel's parents' house to score points with her family. But sure, I was the embarrassment. Thursday afternoon, 3 days after the party I wasn't allowed to attend, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find Marcus, Rachel, and my parents standing on my porch. Marcus's face was red. Rachel looked like she'd been crying. My mom had that expression she gets when she's about to ask me for something but wants to pretend she's doing me a favor. "We need to talk," my dad said. I stepped aside. They filed into my living room like a small, angry mob. Marcus started pacing immediately. Rachel sat on my couch, arms crossed. My parents flanked her like bodyguards. "Do you have any idea what you did?" Marcus said. I blinked. "I didn't go to your party, as requested." "Don't play dumb." He stopped pacing, pointed at me. "You told people you weren't invited. You made us look like terrible people." I hadn't told anyone. I'd stayed home, ordered takeout, and watched 3 episodes of a show I barely remember. But before I could say that, Rachel spoke up. "My aunt asked where you were," my cousin asked. Even my grandmother noticed Marcus's sister wasn't there. Her voice cracked. "Do you know how that looked? Like we excluded you. Like we're cruel." "You did exclude me," I said. "That's not the point." Marcus's voice went up. "The point is, you embarrassed us." Rachel's family spent the whole night asking questions. Her dad pulled me aside and said, "It didn't look right that my own sister wasn't there. We had to make up some story about you being sick." My mom jumped in. "Honey, we know you were upset, but you have to understand how this affected Marcus and Rachel. This was supposed to be their special night." I sat down in the chair across from them. "I didn't tell anyone anything. I stayed home, alone, like you wanted." "Then how did they know?" Rachel's voice was sharp now. "How did everyone know you weren't invited?" "Maybe because I wasn't there?" I kept my voice level. People notice when immediate family is missing from events. That's not me spreading rumors. That's just reality. My dad sighed, that deep, disappointed sigh he's perfected over the years. "Look, what's done is done, but we need you to fix this." "Fix what?" "Rachel's parents are hosting a formal dinner next weekend," Marcus said. "An introduction thing with both families. You need to be there. You need to act like everything's fine. Tell people you were sick at the engagement party. Smooth this over." I looked at each of them. "Let me get this straight. You kicked me out of one event because I'd embarrass you. Now you want me at another event too. What? Prove you're not the kind of people who would kick their daughter out of family events?" "Don't be dramatic," my mom said. "We're asking you to help your brother. That's what family does." Rachel leaned forward. "Look, I know this is awkward, but my parents are already worried about Marcus. They think he's not stable enough financially. They think he jumps from job to job." She glanced at Marcus. "If they think his family is dysfunctional too, they might convince me to reconsider the engagement." There it was, the real reason they were here. "How much do you need?" I asked. The room went quiet. Marcus's eyes darted to Rachel, then back to me. "What?" "Money. How much do you need?" I stood up, walked to my kitchen, pulled out my checkbook. Because let's be honest, this isn't about me showing up to dinner. This is about whatever financial problem you're trying to hide from Rachel's parents. So, how much? Marcus's face went from red to purple. This isn't about money. Really? Because last month you needed $4,000 for a ring. The month before that, $1,500 for your car repair. Before that, it was 3 months of rent. I flipped through my checkbook, found the register. I've given you $23,000 in the last 2 years, Marcus. Not loaned, given, because you never pay it back. I said I would, he muttered. You also said you'd include me in your engagement party. I closed the checkbook, but apparently I'm only family when you need something. My mom stood up. That's not fair. We love you. We just wanted me to be invisible when it's convenient. I finished. I get it. I'm the divorced one, the one without kids, the one who doesn't fit Rachel's parents' picture of a perfect family. But when you need money, or a favor, or someone to make you look good, suddenly I'm essential. You're twisting this, my dad said. We made one request. One. And you're acting like we committed some crime. You excluded me from your son's engagement party because his fiancée was embarrassed of me. Then you showed up at my house, angry that people noticed I was excluded. I looked at Marcus. What exactly did you expect to happen? Rachel stood up suddenly. You know what? Forget it. This was a mistake. She looked at Marcus. I told you she'd be difficult. Difficult? The word came out sharper than I meant it to. I've spent 2 years bailing your fiancé out of every financial crisis he creates. I've helped him move 4 times. I painted your parents' house for free. I'm not being difficult. I'm just done being used. We don't use you, my mom said, but her voice was weak. Then why am I only invited to family events when you need something from me? I counted on my fingers. Dad's birthday last year? Not invited because you were keeping it small. Thanksgiving? I had to volunteer to bring 3 dishes before I got a seat at the table. Christmas? You told me to come for dessert only because the house was too crowded. I looked at Marcus. But when your car died and you needed rides to work for 2 weeks, I was family again. The silence was thick. Rachel grabbed her purse. I don't need to stand here and listen to this. No, you don't, I agreed. You can leave anytime. It's my house. She looked at Marcus, waiting for him to defend her. He just stood there, frozen. My mom tried one more time. Honey, please, just think about what you're doing. Marcus needs you. Marcus needs my money. There's a difference. I walked to my door, opened it. I think we're done here. My dad's face hardened. If you don't show up to that dinner, there will be consequences. Like what? I asked. You'll exclude me from more events? Stop calling unless you need something? Dad, I'm already living that life. They left. Rachel first, storming down my driveway. Marcus hesitated at the door, like he wanted to say something, then followed her. My parents lingered. You're going to regret this, my mom said quietly. Maybe. But at least I'll regret it with $23,000 still in my bank account. I closed the door before she could respond. The next week was silent. No calls, no texts. I expected that. What I didn't expect was Rachel's brother showing up at my office on Wednesday. His name was David. I'd met him twice. Briefly, at family dinners I actually was invited to. He was a lawyer, mid-30s, had Rachel's same sharp features but kinder eyes. I hope this isn't weird, he said, standing awkwardly by my desk. Can we talk? Maybe grab coffee? We went to the cafe across the street. He ordered an espresso, didn't touch it. Rachel told me what happened, he said. Her version, anyway. Then I called your brother to hear his side. He paused. Then I did something I probably shouldn't have. I asked around. Family, friends. People who know your parents. I didn't say anything. The thing is, David continued, every story I heard had the same pattern. You helping. Them taking. You being excluded. Them needing you again. He finally looked at me. My parents think you're the problem. They told Rachel you're jealous, bitter about your divorce, trying to sabotage her happiness. And you're here to tell me the same thing? No, he leaned forward. I'm here because I grew up with Rachel. I know how she operates. She finds people she can use, and she uses them until they're empty. He ran his hand through his hair. She did it to our cousin, to her college roommate. Now she's doing it to Marcus, and by extension, to you. Why are you telling me this? Because Marcus seems like a decent guy who's in over his head, and you seem like someone who's been taken advantage of long enough. He pulled out his phone, showed me a message thread. This is Rachel texting her friend 3 days ago. I read it. My stomach turned. Marcus's sister is such a problem, but we need her money for the wedding. Just have to keep her happy until after we're married, then we can cut her out completely. There were more messages. Plans to borrow $15,000 from me for the wedding. Jokes about how easy it was to manipulate Marcus's family. A detailed strategy to make me feel guilty enough to fund their honeymoon. I'm showing you this because my sister is about to ruin your brother's life and probably drain you dry in the process, David said. I love Rachel. She's my sister, but she's not a good person, and your brother deserves to know what he's marrying into. I stared at the messages. Why would you do this? She's your sister. Because someone needs to. He put his phone away. I've watched her do this to too many people. I'm tired of being complicit. I met his eyes. What do you want me to do? Show Marcus. Before the wedding. Before he signs his life away to someone who sees him as a bank account. David stood up. Or don't. But at least you'll know the truth. He left his untouched espresso on the table. That night I called Marcus. He didn't answer. I called again. Finally, on the third try, he picked up. What? I need to show you something, I said. Can you come over? I'm busy. Marcus, please. It's important. It's about Rachel. Silence. Then, if this is you trying to break us up, just come over. If you look at what I have to show you and still want to marry her, I'll write you a check for whatever you need and I'll never bother you again. He showed up an hour later. I showed him David's messages. All of them. He read in silence, face going pale. This is fake, he said finally. David sent them to me, Rachel's brother. Why would he fake messages about his own sister? To break us up. Maybe he doesn't like me. I pulled up David's contact, called him on speaker. Can you verify these messages are real? David's voice came through. They're real, Marcus. I'm sorry. I took screenshots directly from Rachel's phone when she left it unlocked at our parents' house last weekend. Marcus ended the call, stared at my phone. She talks about me like I'm some project. I know. She's planning to take money from you. From my sister. For a wedding she's only having to look good. His voice cracked. Was any of it real? I didn't have an answer for that. He left without saying goodbye. I watched him drive away, wondering if I'd just saved him or ruined his life. 3 days later, Rachel called me. She was screaming. You vindictive bitch. Do you know what you've done? I showed your fiancé the truth. Those messages were private. You had no right. Your brother showed them to me. Take it up with him. Marcus called off the engagement. My parents are furious. Everyone is asking questions. She was crying now, angry tears. You couldn't stand to see me happy. You're so pathetic and miserable that you had to destroy my relationship. Rachel, you literally texted your friend about using me for money. You called it a strategy. That was a joke. You're taking it out of context. There were 12 messages, all with the same theme. That's not a joke. That's a plan. She made a sound like a wounded animal. I hope you're happy. You destroyed everything. You destroyed it yourself. I just held up a mirror. She hung up. My parents called 10 minutes later, both of them on speaker, tag-teaming me with guilt. How could you do this to your brother? Do you know what you've cost him? Rachel's family will never forgive us. Marcus is devastated. I listened to all of it. When they finally ran out of steam, I said, she was using him. She was planning to use me. I showed him proof. What would you have had me do? Let him be happy, my mom said. Even if it wasn't perfect, he was happy. He was being scammed by someone who saw him as a wallet. That's not happiness. That's delusion. My dad's voice was ice. You're no longer welcome at family events. Any of them. Marcus doesn't want to see you. We don't want to see you. You made your choice. I made the choice to tell the truth. If that makes me unwelcome, I can live with that. They hung up. For 2 weeks, I heard nothing. I went to work, came home, lived my life. It was quiet, lonely, but clean. No emergency calls about rent, no last-minute requests for money, no guilt trips about missing events I was barely invited to anyway. Then Marcus showed up at my door. It was late, almost 10 p.m. He looked exhausted. Can I come in? I stepped aside. He sat on my couch, head in his hands. I talked to David, Rachel's brother. He showed me more messages, from her friends, from her cousin. Everyone knew she was using me. Everyone, except me. I sat across from him. I called off the wedding, he said. Obviously. But then I started looking back at everything. Every time you helped me. Every time I needed money or a place to stay or someone to bail me out. He looked up. You never said no. Not once. And I never even said thank you. Marcus, let me finish. He took a breath. I took $23,000 from you. I borrowed your car for 3 months and put 8,000 miles on it. I asked you to help me move 4 times, paint a house, cover my bills, and the one time Rachel decided you were an inconvenience, I went along with it. I kicked you out of my engagement party because my fiancé was embarrassed of you. His voice broke. What kind of person does that? Someone who is being manipulated, I said quietly. Rachel was good at it. She fooled a lot of people. But not you. I had experience. My ex-husband was good at it too. I smiled sadly. Once you've been used like that, you recognize the patterns. We sat in silence. Finally, Marcus said, I don't know how to fix this. You don't have to fix anything. You just have to stop letting people use you, including me. He looked confused. You never used me. No, but you need to learn to stand on your own. No more loans, no more bailouts. You're 34, Marcus. It's time to figure out your life without a safety net. What if I fail? Then you fail, and you learn, and you get back up. I leaned forward. I love you, but I can't keep saving you from consequences. That's not helping you. That's just enabling you to stay stuck. He nodded slowly. Mom and Dad said I should never talk to you again. I know. They said you ruined my life. Maybe I did. From their perspective. From my perspective, he said, you saved it, even if it doesn't feel like it right now. He left an hour later. At the door, he turned back. I'm going to pay you back, the $23,000. It might take me years, but I will. Marcus, you don't have to. Yes, I do. Because that's what people who actually care about each other do. They don't just take, they give back. He hugged me, quick and tight. Thank you, for everything. And I'm sorry, for all of it. After he left, I stood in my doorway and watched his taillights disappear down the street. My phone buzzed. A text from David. Rachel's moving back in with our parents. Thought you'd want to know. I texted back. How are you doing? Better than Rachel. She's convinced she's the victim in all this. She probably believes that. Yeah. A pause then. Can I buy you dinner sometime, as an apology for my family's chaos? I stared at the message, thought about all the ways this could go wrong. Then I thought about all the ways it might not. Sure, I typed, but you're not responsible for apologizing for other people's behavior. Maybe not, but I'd still like to buy you dinner. I smiled at my phone. Okay, when? 2 months later, Marcus sent me a payment. $500 with a note. First installment. 45 more to go. Also, I got a new job. Steady, boring, stable. It feels weird but good. Thanks for not giving up on me. I framed the note. My parents still don't call. I'm still not invited to family events. During holidays, my phone stays silent while I imagine Marcus sitting at their table, fielding questions about where I am and why we don't talk anymore. But I'm not carrying anyone else's weight anymore. I'm not the person they call at 2 a.m. when things fall apart. I'm not the backup plan, or the emergency fund, or the invisible support system that makes everyone else's life work while mine quietly falls apart. I'm just me, and for the first time in years, that feels like enough. David and I have been seeing each other for 3 months now. It's slow, careful. We both come from families that taught us love looks like sacrifice and silence. We're learning together that maybe it doesn't have to. Marcus texts me every week, updates about his job, his life, his progress. He's in therapy now, working through why he let Rachel and our parents convince him that using people who love you is normal. Last week, he asked if I wanted to grab coffee. Just the two of us. No agenda, no emergency, no request for help. I said yes. We met at a cafe downtown, talked for 2 hours about nothing important. Movies, work, the weather, normal sibling stuff. When the check came, he grabbed it before I could. My treat, he said. You don't have to. I know, but I want to. He smiled. I'm practicing this whole not being a taker thing. Apparently it involves occasionally paying for coffee. As I drove home that afternoon, sun setting orange and gold over the highway, I realized something. I spent so many years trying to be enough for people who would never see me as anything but useful. I thought love meant making myself smaller so other people could feel bigger. But I'm not small. I never was. I was just surrounded by people who needed me to be. And now? Now I'm surrounded by people who see me whole, who don't need me to shrink or sacrifice or disappear to make their lives easier. The silence from my parents still hurts sometimes. Holidays are quieter. Family photos don't include me anymore. But I'm not invisible. I'm not forgotten. I'm not the emergency contact who only matters in a crisis. I'm just finally, peacefully, myself. And that's worth more than any invitation to a party where I was never really welcome anyway.